we'll see how to use OpenCV to draw some shapes on the images. So let's start by creating a new file. I will call it drawing.py, and I will import cv2 and numpy as np for short. First I will create an image by using np zeros. I will give it a shape, so 512, 512 and 3 channels, and I can also give the data type as np.uint8. Let's first show this image. And give it the image here, and don't forget to use cv2.wait key and give it a delay of 0. Now I come here and saying python drawing.py. So this is the image. Now if I want to draw, for example, a line here in the diagonal of this image, so the line that starts from here and ending here, so I can do it by using OpenCV cv2.line. This function take first the image and then the point 1, which is the starting point and ending point, so we'll give it their coordinates, and then the color of the image, the thickness of the line, and the line type also we can give it. So first let's give it the image. The starting point, I will draw it from 0 to 0 till the end, which is 500, and here we can give it 11 and 511. The color, for example, we can make a line with the blue color, so we'll give the green and red as zeros, and its thickness, for example, we can make it with thickness of 3. If I run the code, so this line is shown here. We can change its color, its thickness to make it bigger, and so its coordinate also we can make it start from here, for example, to here. So as we want, we can draw any line. Another shape that we can draw is rectangle. So let's draw a rectangle here. It take also the image and the top left corner of the rectangle and the bottom right corner of the rectangle. So let's give it here image, this image, and the top left coordinate. For example, if I give it like 10 and, for example, 50, and give it, for example, the other corner, the bottom right corner is, we can give it as, for example, 40 and 100, for example. We can give it a color. Let me make it a red one, so it must be 0, 0 and 255 to have the red color. And the thickness, we can give it, for example, 5 thickness. And now let's see it. So it is here, it's very small one. You can make it bigger by giving another coordinate here, for example. Here we give it a thickness of 5, but if we want to make it filled with this color, with the red color, we can give it -1 and it will be filled like that. So it now is filled. If we want it to be empty, we can give it any thickness value here. If I make it bigger, so I can change also the coordinate here to, like, for example, 200. I can also change the vertical coordinate here, give it, for example, 400, and it will be a bigger rectangle. So it is like that. Another shape that we can draw is a circle. So if I draw a circle here. Circle will take the image, take the center of this circle. We can give it, for example, as 128, and it takes the radius of this circle. So if I give it, for example, 60, the color, we can make it, for example, green circle, and it takes the thickness also the same as rectangle. If we give it a value bigger than 0, it will be an empty circle. If we want it to be filled with this color, we should give it -1. So let me make it filled. So it is a circle here. If I want it to be empty, I can give it any thickness here. So it is now empty. So this is how to draw these shapes. We can also put some text on the image using cv2.putText, and this will take the image itself, and we'll take the text that we want to show in the image. So for example, let's write on the image OpenCV with Python, and it take also the origin, which should be the bottom left corner. So if I give it, for example, here 100 and 100, and then the font face of this text, so it can be cv2.font. For example, we have many types of fonts here. We can choose one of them, depends on our choice. So if I, for example, choose this one, one of the most popular fonts in OpenCV, and give it also the font scale, which will be the size of the text. For example, if I give it 4, and the color of the text, I will make it, for example, 255, which is the white color, and also the thickness of the text. So if I show it here, so it is shown here, it's very big here. We can make it small by changing this value. So let's change here, for example, to 1 to 2, and draw it here. So OpenCV with Python, still now not shown here. We can make it also like, for example, 0.5, and this now is shown here. We can make it 1 to be shown in the image clearly. So OpenCV with Python. We can change its coordinates to make it here, for example, or make it in another position. Now we will see how to draw another type of shapes, which is ellipse. So let's comment this here, and to draw ellipse, can use cv2.ellipse and give it the image, the center of this ellipse. So if I make it 256 and 256, and the length of the axis of this ellipse, so if I give it 100, for example, and 50, and the rotation angle, I'll give it as 0. We'll see later how it may change, how the ellipse will look like. So, and the starting and ending point, ending angle, I will give it 0 and 180 for, or 360 for full ellipse. And the color, I will give it as, for example, 0, 255, and 0, and the thickness of the ellipse, let's give it -1 to have a filled ellipse. So now let's show this image. So this is how the ellipse looks like, and we can make it bigger, or we can make it vertical, or with any angle. So if we want to make it vertical, we can make this 90. If we want just the half of this ellipse, we can make it 0 to 180 or from 180 till 360, so it depends. So let's now show these different forms. For example, if I make it 90 here, and if I make this bigger, so for example 200, if I make them equals, it will be just a circle. And if it is 180, it will just half of the, and we can also make it empty, so not filled with the color. So if we give it a thickness bigger than 0. So now it looks like that. If we want to make it filled, we can return this to -1 and so on. If we, for example, we can make this as 45 and like that. Can make, for example, this 180 till 360 to have the other half. So it is like that. So we can change these values to change how the ellipse will look like. Now let's see how to draw some lines between different points. So for example, if let me comment this one. If I show the image here, and if I want to draw, for example, a line between a point here to a point here and point here to here and here also, and make this many points, make some line between them. This is called polygons or polylines with OpenCV. If, for example, we have, let's create some points, np.array, and if I, for example, choose a point from in the 10, 5 position and a point in, for example, let's say 300 and 200 points, and a point in, for example, let's say, let me show the image here to choose from it. So for example, the images here, this image, this point here, and this point may be in here also. And if I choose a point here, for example, it can be, for example, 100 and 400, 100 and 100 also. And if I choose another point, it can be, for example, here, for example, it can be in the middle of this is 100 or 256, and here, for example, let's say 50, 256 and 50, and we should make it in the type of int32. Now to draw lines between them, we can use cv2.polylines, give it the image, and these points as list, and here is this closed or not, so we'll give it as true to be closed and give it the color. So I will give it, for example, the red color. Let's show it now. So this is drawn like that. This is the first point, the second one here, and the third one here, and the fourth one here. So it is shown like that. We can draw any polygon that we want, just giving the points on the image to the to OpenCV. If we can see that the first points here and the last one are connected. If we don't want them to be connected, we can say here false. So the last one and the first one are not connected now. We can also specify its thickness. For example, if I give thickness of 5, thickness of lines, so it's now thicker, more thicker than the last one. If you want, we can save this image with all these changes. So let me and comment this here and save the image like that. So cv2.imwrite, let's save it to the data file and then call it drawing.png, for example, and give it the image with all the changes that we have put on it. So let's show it and save it also.